Ever since Audi came into the Indian market, quality over quantity has been their mantra. Now, over the last few years, that philosophy has helped them establish a very strong foundation from where they've just grown and grown and grown. But now, Audi is finally getting aggressive. They want to see the numbers, and helping them get those numbers is going to be this, the new Q3.
Since it was first shown to the Indian public at the Auto Expo in January, interest in the Audi Q3 has been building up to fever pitch. Well, the waiting is now over and the vehicle is finally here, so let's get straight to the point.
The Q3 looks dynamic from every angle. The feline crouch accentuated by its wide track and short wheelbase. The hood is large, but not large enough to give it an imposing look. The headlamps with the LED piping are the most striking design element, stunning at night or day. The black piano finish grille is another highlight, but loses a bit of impact thanks to the large number plate. In profile, the Q3's distinctive characteristic, the raked roofline, gives it an almost coupe-like silhouette. The tail lamps also have LED piping, and viewed from the back are the only feature marking the 3 out from the Q5. Ground clearance is 170 mm, which means the Q3 sits closer to the ground than conventional SUVs. In fact, despite the chunky fenders and the large grille, the Q3 looks really compact, especially when you realize it's only a bit longer than the Jazz. The cabin is cheery and bright with large windows and a massive sunroof. Build quality is typical Audi, with some interesting details like the temperature control knobs from the TT. And the only obvious sign of cost cutting is the retractable MMI screen, which needs to be operated manually. Cabin space is adequate for 4, the rear seats being placed lower to release more headroom. The Q3 even has 460 litres of boot space. Audi is going to start the Q3's Indian innings by bringing it in as a CBU in this fully loaded spec. That means it will be on the expensive side, but should be worth every rupee given its creature comforts. But the real highlight of this SUV is going to be its 2-litre turbo diesel engine. Is also used in the A4 and a couple of other cars in the Audi fold. It's a fairly powerful engine, makes about 170 odd horsepower. But it's got a whopping 380 Newton meters of max torque. It's an absolute pleasure to drive on the highways, where all that torque makes a lot of difference. Drivability is fantastic. It's also a very refined engine. And this car is soundproof phenomenally well, so you really don't hear much of that diesel clatter inside the cabin. Well, Audi definitely has a winner in the 2-litre diesel engine. The engine is mated to a well-matched 7-speed S-Tronic dual-clutch gearbox, with the whole drivetrain providing electric performance and good efficiency. Sample 0 to 100 in 8.7 seconds and overall mileage of 12.3 kmpl. But sadly, even this top-of-the-line spec doesn't get paddle shifts, which would have been the fitting cherry on the cake. The electromechanically assisted steering does feel a bit skittish, especially if you're pushing the Q3 round a corner and you encounter a rough patch of tarmac. But overall, this steering is fairly light, and a lot of people are going to appreciate that lightness when driving this SUV in the city or out on the highways. I, on the contrary, am not entirely satisfied with what this steering has to offer. I think it is a bit too light. I think there is a fair amount of vagueness in it as well. And while it does weigh up nicely as speeds increase, there's this niggling feeling that there is something lacking in this unit. Audi's Quattro system defines the Q3, giving it fantastic agility and sports car-like maneuverability. It feels confident at almost any speed on the highway, sure-footed with a well-planted stance. The suspension is a standard independent hydraulic unit, not the adaptive air suspension seen in more premium Audis, but well-tuned to Indian conditions, so while the ride is a bit stiff, you won't hear any complaints from passengers. So far, whatever you heard about the Q3 is our opinion as professional road testers on it. But the Q3 is a compact SUV, and it is one of the most affordable premium SUV offerings in the market apart from BMW's X1. So we've decided to add a twist to this story. Now that twist comes in the form of 3 guests who we've invited onto the show. First to get behind the wheel are Suhail and Kriti Bhatia. Suhail is a construction magnate and full-blown automobile enthusiast. Kriti is a jewellery designer and likes to be driven around rather than tackle Mumbai's traffic head-on. The perfect choices to give us insights on both passion and value.
This car seems small on the outside, which is great, which I like. It is reasonably sized on the inside. I'm not saying it's big. I'm not saying it's super comfortable, but it's completely adequate. For slightly above 30 lakh rupees, it's worth every penny. The car totally justifies its price tag and probably more. I'd probably pay a little more than 30 lakhs any time of the day for this car.
It's terrible driving in Bombay, and you generally, you've got to have someone driving you around, especially in terrible traffic. But with this car, it's because it's compact, and it's also, I think, parking is a key issue everywhere. I would easily just grab it when I have no one helping me around, driving me around, and just take it wherever I need to, without hesitating.
Up next is popular fashion designer Nachiket Barve. Not only a big hit at fashion weeks, he also likes cars and is the ideal person to comment on the Q3 style quotient.
I'm a big fan of color per se because as a fashion person I work with a lot of strong colors. I just feel for a car of this scale, I would have liked, this color is not my favorite, let me be honest. So just the beige, I feel, given our environment and the sort of use that I would see for myself, I think a darker interior would work better because no matter how careful you are, with just the environment, it's like, in fashion analogy, it's like having a white handbag. It looks beautiful in the store and 3 seconds later it's white no more. No, I don't think the front is cramped at all. It's also got, because of the curves, a sense of openness rather than it sort of caving in on you. Because had the same windshield been a little more sloped in or whatever, it would not have been as open. The roof also gives it a sense of that whole curvilinear sort of open, you feel like you're in a lovely bubble.
So there in a pretty big nutshell is what the Q3 is all about. Now everyone who's driven this SUV, including me, are very impressed with all that this SUV has to offer. Audi definitely has a winner on its hands. But this top of the line variant isn't the SUV that's going to get Audi the numbers. That blockbuster is just about 6 months away.